Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the shift, when the shift hits a fan. And you are here with the Mistresses of Mind Shift. My name is Mark Jeffrey, and I'm here with my gorgeous co-host, once again, Linda Lehman. And I actually, about 2.5 seconds before I started this, I fell off my chair, so I'm kind of sitting on the floor right now. So.
I'm laughing with you, Mark.
Nobody should give me one of those rolly, roundy, move around the place chairs. It's just technology, chairs that move, phones. Just shouldn't give it to me.
Knives.
Yeah. Well, here we are tonight. We're talking about the naughty and the nice list. And we've made our list. One of the reasons why we had gone to Tortola, taken some time for ourselves, was to really reconnect and decide what we were going to be doing for the next foreseeable future, getting in alignment, and we believe that everyone should really do that. And what better time, Linda, than the end of the year? When you get a chance to kind of look at what you did. Was it working? Was it not working? And what are you going to do next, right?
Absolutely, Mark. I think that's, I can't even begin to tell you how many years that I've done exactly that, and I know you have too. You sit down at the end of the year and reflect back, celebrate the wins, and build that momentum. But it's also important, and I like the way you started out asking yourself, what worked this year and what didn't work so well? Because for the things that didn't work so well, it doesn't mean that you're going to trash your idea or you're going to trash your goals. It's just, okay, now you know what doesn't work. How can you shift those things that didn't work very well, make a couple of changes here and there to where it's going to work even better than before?
And here it is. It's about 7 years later from when I started working online, and like many of the people that we work with each and every day, I started kind of part-time because I was unsure of myself. Like, this was a new thing for me, and that's why when people say, oh yeah, just quit your job and jump in, I'm not a big proponent of that. And I know some people who have succeeded, and no doubt it worked for them. So I'm not going to argue that point. But it wasn't something I was going to do. I was a single mom. I mean, I couldn't just say, well, if we don't eat tomorrow, that's fine by me. I'm just going to do this. But there was a responsibility that I had to take there, right? But it's 7 years later, and I have had tremendous success. When you really look at the odds, I really have. From the first week I started in business, I made a lot of money, and I haven't made, I've always made enough money to keep myself comfortable, not just paying my bills, but comfortable, because that's a baseline for me personally, that if I can't live a comfortable life, whatever I'm doing, well, I'm going to be shifting. And so, but this past year, I really, really decided to find out where I wanted to stake my claim and where I really wanted to be. And it was the best year I've ever had. But interestingly enough, I went back and took a brick-and-mortar job. If you want to call it that, I bought a business. And it's brick-and-mortar. It's a real place. And that's what I did. Because I could. And it was another challenge for me. And oftentimes people, I think, Linda, and you and I both work in this realm, is that some people will, oh, well, if you do that, then, you don't have any freedom. Yeah, we have a lot of freedom.
Absolutely. Just because you're working in a brick-and-mortar business doesn't mean that you've given up your freedom. My philosophy is if you truly love what you're doing, who cares if it's a job or if it's your own business or if it's a combination of the two? If you're living life to the fullest and you're feeling good about yourself and you're feeling great about what you're doing, who's to tell you that that's not right?
Well, sure. You look at Richard Branson. He owns a brick-and-mortar business. Would somebody say he's not successful or he doesn't have freedom? I think not. I think people have to understand on your list that you are making, okay, because we are advocates of this, before you start and do anything, pros and cons, my friends, you've got to know what you're getting into, and somebody needs to answer those questions for you so you're making good choices. But, you know, starting with that list of who am I? We talk about this all the time, Linda. Who are you? What makes your heart sing? What Linda likes for on one hand may not be something that it gets my fire burning, right? But I appreciate the fact, and vice versa, I appreciate the fact that she does that. We come together on this project, but are outside of this project, we have kind of the same things that we're doing, but in different ways. But that doesn't mean that I have to go, oh, well, I'm going to start in what Linda's doing because what I'm doing, you know, people, make your own choices here. I know I went on a rant. Sorry, Linda.
No, it was a beautiful rant, Mark, and I loved everything that you were saying. And we are all individuals. We're not supposed to be robots or cookie cutters. So if you think that in order for you to be successful, you have to be doing exactly what somebody else is doing, even though you don't like it, where's the, you know, that's the prison. There's no freedom in that. If you're doing something that you don't like, but you're only doing it because somebody else is doing it or somebody else told you that you should do it, then you're not standing on your own 2 feet. You're not thinking for yourself. You're not taking the reins of control. It is so incredibly important, Mark, to, as you said, ask yourself, what do you want? Answer that question. What do I truly want? And I'm not talking about saying, what do I think I can get? Because so many people confuse the two. They say, what do I want? And then they immediately start thinking, well, I'm not going to ask for too much because I don't know how to get it, so therefore I don't think I can get it. And I really, really, really like this job or do this business, but I'm going to just set my sights a whole lot lower to what I think I can get. Huge mistake. Mark and I want each and every one of you to take the gloves off. Take the lid off of your imagination. Take out that pen and paper, and I tell you, the first list that you write, don't give any thought whatsoever as to how it's going to happen. Just let your imagination fly and just start writing down everything that excites you.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's a big proponent of this, is don't put restrictions on yourself right out the gate. Because, well, we work with people every day, and this is, well, I don't know if I can do that. Well, it's like, I love this commercial. I don't know if you have it in the States or not, but we have it here, and it's for Silk almond milk. And the guy's standing there. There's one with a guy and there's one with a gal. And, you know, are you sure this is going to taste like it used to? Are you sure this? And the poor little guy on the thing, the almond guy's going, well, you have to taste it. You know, and he kept going. And then of course, they taste and they go, oh, this is really good. And he goes, yeah. And that's kind of it, right?
Exactly. You know, you got to try it. You got to step out there and do it, or you'll never know. We're not here to be in some protected little cage where as long as we stay in that little cage, everything is perfect and wonderful. You know, that cage is very quickly going to shrink, and it's not going to be perfect and wonderful. In order to really experience life, you got to go for it. You got to get out there and, you know, take a step, and then once you take that step, adjust to it, and then figure out where the next step goes. Take that step. Then adjust to it, figure out, okay, now where does the next one go? If you already know exactly where it's going to take you, the steps that you need to get from point A to point B, in my opinion, then those are just little tasks on a to-do list you have for today. It's not truly stretching yourself and achieving what you're really here to achieve.
Yep, absolutely. And that brings us to our first naughty stuff, being afraid of your shadow. Or, and I'll add on to this, being afraid of somebody else's shadow. Just because somebody else seems to be, I'm going to say not is, but seems to be, bigger, better than you, casting a shadow over you, doesn't mean that that's a real thing to be afraid of. Because a lot of people, have pomp and circumstance, and a lot of it is not even true, and that's the thing with the internet. And I want everybody to remember that. Anybody can say anything. Anybody can post earnings on Facebook that aren't theirs. I mean, everybody knows what Photoshop is, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. And what they're doing, even if it were true, doesn't necessarily mean that you will be able to do that right out of the gate or ever. Because some people have the skills and the discipline to get up in the morning, work for themselves. We talk a lot about this. This is an art unto itself. Right, Linda?
Oh, so true, Mark. I mean, if you're the type of person who needs to have some kind of a structure where somebody is spelling out for you what you need to focus on for the day, and then you do it, and maybe you're great at that. You excel at that. But if you try to do something on your own, you don't know the first step to take. You're kind of fumbling around, and you're unsure of yourself. You're fearful that you might make a mistake. Then it may not be for you, or you need to work with a coach or something to help you find out where that fear is coming from, and be able to counteract that and push that fear of failing out of your way, so that then you can move forward. But and I know that we were on this topic again last week as well, a little bit, and I just really want to nail this one home, because I've been thinking a lot about it. And it's maybe because we see and hear, either on the internet or through conversations, people who I guess are striving for that, what their definition of entrepreneurship is, or having your own business, or your own business working online, and I feel like I hear more comments about dissing people with a job. Well, folks, there are things, services, products that we all need and that we all consume, and those services and products are done by people who, more times than not, are employed by someone else to do a specific job that they're good at. So since we all consume all these services and products, why on earth would we be dissing somebody who's really good at providing those goods and services to us?
Yeah, that actually, like brought something into my imagination here. Imagine if everybody wanted to work online and nobody wanted to do any of those jobs, or nobody found any satisfaction in those jobs. Because I'm going to tell you something. There's a lot of people I know, like the Walmart greeters, that I see when I go in there, and they're happy. They love their jobs. They're meeting people. They're happy. And for anybody to say, well, that's a menial job and somebody shouldn't be doing that, or whatever, or they're less than whatever because they're doing it, well, you're the one that's wrong. But I know, and we could go on like this forever. So, darn it, I want to do the naughty list.
I know, okay, I'll try to stay on task.
Yeah, well, me, I'm the one that wanders around more than anybody. But we've actually kind of driven around this a little bit with everything that's on that list. Blaming other people for your inadequacies, or you not having the success that you want. Everybody does that. I hear it 1,000 times a day. Everything's a scam. Like what? You go to Canadian Tire and you buy something and it doesn't work. So you take it back to Canadian Tire. Was that a scam? No. So you do something online. It doesn't work for you. You get your money back. Is that a scam?
No.
Yeah. See, we have to live in the realm of reality here, because I'll tell you honestly, honest and blue here, true blue, there are very few scams out there. There are. There are very few, because this is actually a heavily regulated thing. And when something's blazing across the internet like wildfire, that's the first thing that gets attention. That's the first thing that gets attention. There's more scams with, people doing parties at home and taking people's money and telling them they're going to make money on doing something than there is really on the internet, because there's watchdogs out there. And there's people that can complain about things. So blaming other people because you got into something that A, you didn't ask enough questions, you didn't understand, you went blindly in, well, I'm sorry, but that's your fault.
It is. And the research goes a lot deeper, too. I mean, we talked about doing your own research. I mean, if you were to take somebody, let's just take one of the internet businesses that, and I'm not going to name a business, but some people say, oh, it's a scam, and yet others are successful at it. But sometimes, especially if you're just wanting to dive into one of those businesses, you have to take a look at it. This person that you're talking to may have been doing this for years, and they may have a list of people that they regularly communicate with that may be topping, several thousands of people on their mailing list. And so if they put out an idea or a product, then they're sending this idea or product out to thousands, if not tens of thousands of people. Now here you are, maybe you're just now figuring out how to send an email or do a blog or something, and you may have an email list of your closest friends, or it may be just a handful of 10 or 20 and possibly 100. If you really think that process through and you offer a product for sale, if you calculate percentages, your percentage of people who might buy into it might be relatively close to the percentage of those other people, but because they have a volume of people, obviously their dollar amount is going to be much higher at the end of the month than yours, because they are touching more people. They have more of a base of people to send their product or service out to. You have to compare apples to apples if you're going to go into a business.
Precisely. And the other thing is you're going to spend some coin.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to spend some coin, and that's all relative as well. See, I may not bat an eyelash at spending a couple grand doing a Facebook campaign or something, or Google ads or something like that, because my income is representative of what I will spend. I always spend 10% of whatever I make on a monthly basis in getting more clients. I mean, that's just, I'm doing business, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to sit on my laurels, but to you, that might be, 3 months' paychecks, and it will seem unrealistic. Now, I'm going to do better than you are because I'm expending more. It's all relative. And that's why when somebody says, I make $1 million, well, maybe you making $100, because I know I was tickled pink when I made my first $100 online, but that could be, the pinnacle of your success. So I think that we also have to be, I didn't put that on the list, not being realistic. Should have.
That's a good naughty list one.
Yeah, should have put that on there. So you have to be realistic about your, managing expectations, I think, is the hardest thing I have to do when people want to start a business with me.
Mm-hmm. And you help them manage that. But it's still hard because so many people look at the pie in the sky and say, and just kind of push aside, oh, yeah, but I know I can do this. So, another thing on our naughty list that I hear people say all the time, and so do you, is I hate my life.
Oh, yeah. I want out of my life. I want out of my life. I'll do anything to get out of my life. Yeah, I heard that a couple times.
Yeah, just a couple. But, I like to ask the question, why? What is it about your life that you hate so badly? Because so many times people are talking, Mark, just in general. And it's like people grasp onto cliches and they say, oh, this sounds good. I'm going to throw that out and see what kind of dramatic response I get. I hate my life. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
think, really? Yeah. Why?
Drama kings and queens.
See, there's another one for the naughty list.
Naughty list is getting longer. Why don't we slide over? And you know what? I just decided, I made an executive decision tonight. We're going overtime tonight, guys, because we want to.
Cool.
It's our year-end show. We're both taking off for the holidays and spending some time. So we're going overtime with this because we want to spend a little time on the nice stuff too. Because we want you to think about yourself in a different perspective. We want you to think about yourself with the rose-colored glasses on, of you being the powerful and confident and successful person, because reality, okay, from the naughty list jumping over to the nice list, the reality is if you don't think you can, you can't.
Exactly. It's amazing how accurate you are.
Yeah.
But inside each and every one of us is this tremendous power. You know, we wouldn't dream a dream unless we actually had within us the ability to achieve that dream.
Well, but I bet you 99.9% of the people listening to this show tonight, or whenever they end up listening to it, don't even believe that.
Yeah, I imagine that they don't, but it is so true. I mean, you hear all the time, you can be, do, and have anything. It's all open and available to you. It comes back around, what do you really want? I mean, I don't want to be an astronaut and go to the moon.
No.
But if I did, then I would learn the skills, gain the knowledge necessary to do that. And that desire to be an astronaut would drive me toward that purpose. But because I don't have any desire to go to the moon, although I think it's fascinating to hear stories and watch documentaries and gain the knowledge that way with my feet here on the ground on Earth.
Yep.
Don't want to go to the moon.
Well, unless they can tell me I can live there and it doesn't take me like 18 light years to get there.
Yeah.
That's never going to happen in my lifetime. But I'm with you. There's going to be some things that, I mean, there's lots of stuff that I have no desire to do. And that doesn't mean that when my friends are doing it, well, and we just did that, right? We did that when we were children because some people wanted to go scuba diving and stuff, right? I have no desire to do that, none whatsoever. It doesn't interest me whatsoever. I mean, I look at it this way, I'm going, a fish is a fish is a fish. You know, it's just me, right? But I might go out on the ranch and, you know, and relish in all the different courses that are out there because I know that and I love that, right? So I'm different from the other people. Well, I would go to the beach and sit, they can scuba dive, they can have their fun. Does it mean that because I might even be sitting on the beach by myself, that there's something wrong with that? And that kind of brings it all together. You know, when you decide to do something you want to do, you don't have to be the same as everybody else. You have to follow your passion, and sometimes that's swimming against the stream.
Exactly. You know, how boring would this entire world be if we all had the same desires to do the same things?
Oh, and how crowded would it be there?
It would be so crowded and competitive.
Mm-hmm.
But realistically, we don't have to compete for what we truly want. If we're answering the desire within us, not answering what other people think we should want to do. How many times have you heard that one, Mark? Yep,
exactly. But here's a business tip for you guys. Don't go with the company where everybody's in, because everybody's already in there.
Good advice.
Okay? Find something else that's new and unique. Yes, you're going to slay some dragons getting that to market. I mean, it could be your product. It could be a new product in the market space. You're going to learn some skills, though. Skills that will take you anywhere you want to go if you learn how to do that correctly. But, yeah, don't be a sheeple. Sheeples never are millionaire people.
No, they're just that. They're sheeple. And you know what? As you gain those new skills to do something a little bit different, then you're gaining confidence in yourself, which is another thing on our nice list.
Mm-hmm.
Confidence.
Confidence, feeling on top of the world, feeling powerful. There's nothing like it. And again, I felt that way with my first $100 that I made on my own in a world that I had no understanding of, and that's online. I mean, I've worked in quote unquote jobs for years. Right? I was always employed by someone, and someone else always paid my check. I was an entrepreneur because I contracted myself out, but someone else, I was employed by someone. So that's, I mean, it wasn't, I guess in some respects, it wasn't too much of a transition, but I was tickled pink and so excited to make my first $100 in my own right. I never forgot that feeling.
Right. It's such an awesome feeling. And it's the same if people think, I don't have anything to compare that to. In just a small example, when I first learned to drive, I learned to drive an automatic. And that in and of itself was an accomplishment. And I just, cheered, and especially when I passed the test and everything, that was great. But then I learned how to drive a stick shift. And that to me was a crowning accomplishment, because my dad would take me out on dirt roads on hills, and for anyone who has driven a stick shift, it's like, okay, where's my third foot? Because I'm on this hill and I'm stopped, and I had to figure out how to move forward without moving backwards, but both of my feet are tied up. When I mastered that skill, man, what a celebration. And you know what? It's a lot the same type of feeling. So you know what, Mark, a really great idea for people is to start thinking back of, when they really felt accomplished, no matter what it was. If you start thinking about all of these accomplishments that you've had in life, or as we've suggested for the last 2 weeks now, in this last year, and you start feeling that feeling, you're going to realize that feeling of excitement, that feeling of accomplishment and confidence, it's the same whether it's something small, considerably, or is considered small that you've accomplished, or something that's considered big that you've accomplished. That elation, that just, I don't know, sometimes it's hard to explain, that just like, ta-da feeling.
Yeah, and here's something too, just as you were talking about that, and I know it's relating to one thing, but when you are driving a stick and you doing that, and that balance, the balance between the power of the vehicle, your own confidence, the balance that's there, that takes you in a lot different ways. Like you're right, the confidence that's there, but you understand balance. If you look at anybody, you look at the Cirque du Soleil people and the people like that, it's not so much strength, although it is, but it's more balance. It's understanding the weight of everything and how to balance it. So if you can manage your life like that, most of us fail in whatever we're doing, whether it's relationships, our business, making money, losing money, throwing money away, whatever it is because we're out of balance. So finding that balance in your life can be, I don't know, Linda, I'm going to throw this out. I think that's the most critical thing for anybody to do.
I agree, Mark. I mean, so many times people are wanting to, make more money, a lot of money. They just feel like they will be happy and everything will work out peachy keen wonderful if they have, this amount more of money coming in. But then they reach that amount. Maybe they get it. They strive, they work hard, and they get it. But all of a sudden they look around and they don't feel any different. They don't feel happy, or their relationships aren't better. And that's because they're out of balance. Being rich isn't just about monetary wealth. It truly is about balance. Balance in your health, in your relationships, in the work that you do, the service that you provide, the contribution that you make, because that continues that great feeling that you have of accomplishment, and it brings it full circle. And when one piece is out of whack, you'll notice that all of the other pieces start teetering. They can't stand on their own anymore. So balance is of utmost importance, I think.
Mm-hmm. It definitely is. And you'll find that, we just talked about this, is the more confident you become at something, the less excuses that you offer yourself. You know, the balance will come back into all good things on that side of it. And it will take, you know, that teeter-totter that a lot of you are on. You know, you have a good day and you fall backwards again. And you're up and you're down. And it's so hard on you. It's so hard on your body. That's why you're probably sick a lot. It's hard on your mind. That's why you can't concentrate, or you feel like you got a foggy head, foggy mind. All of that is your body, your life, you under stress. It's all those decisions you didn't make. It's all those chances you didn't take. It's all of those things that just keep pounding up on your shoulders and scrunching you down into the ground, and there's no balance there. You might have good calf muscles from holding all that, but that's not going to help you.
Nope, not at all. So I guess the moral here is when you're teetering, when things just feel like they're, you know, falling apart, or you're juggling, it's time to stop and take a step back and do an assessment. Okay, what's working well, what's not working well? I'm obviously out of whack here. Maybe I just need to go take a walk. You know, I manage people, and there was a time when I was actually inside a building and face-to-face with all of my employees, and you know, working with them every day. And they got to know that, you know, I could tell when they were reaching their breaking points, and it was not uncommon for me to tap somebody on the shoulder and say, hey, why don't you, it's a beautiful day outside, why don't you go take a walk? I'll take care of this for you. You go take a walk. And at first they were kind of puzzled as to why I would do that, but then they started getting it. Because if you can take yourself out of a situation where you're feeling incredibly imbalanced, just totally get away from it for a little while, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes, you can come back with a refreshed mind. You can actually, in that very short period of time, pull yourself back into balance. Because the majority of it is dealing with your feelings, how you're feeling, what you're thinking, and how you're feeling about what you're thinking about.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the one thing that I want to take a little bit of time on tonight, because we are going to be talking a lot more about this come the new year, and that is the law of attraction. And we're skirting around things because we are talking about the law of attraction in different terminology for you. It's how you go from here and why you get more of what you're getting. It's simple balance, right? It's just simple mathematics. When one part is not in balance with the other part, if you don't have the yin and you don't have the yang, it doesn't matter what philosophy that you actually hold and understand. This is what goes on. And the law of attraction and the many laws that we're going to go through come the new year, because we want you to understand very simply how each of these are building blocks unto the next, and why when you're not generous of your spirit and your mind and of your talents, you don't get very much in return. Your business suffers. You know, when you're stingy with your relationships and your love, why love doesn't find you. You know, we're going to be talking about those things because it's a reality, but it's simple math. So for all of you logic people out there, I'm like that too. I'm very logical. It's simple balance and simple math. And you have to understand it, and you have to apply it into your life to be happy. It doesn't matter, Linda. I don't care what they do. there's always going to be something lacking if they don't get this in some proportion anyways.
Exactly. And I know, I think one of the reasons that we've spent, almost 2 years now, and we've tried to reframe how we talked about the law of attraction, just because there are so many people who scoff. The very second you start talking about the law of attraction, a lot of people will just ridicule it because they don't understand it. They don't believe it. I mean, we all believe in gravity, but for some reason we can't seem to believe in the law of attraction. But you know what? The interesting thing is, Mark, it doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. It doesn't matter if you understand it or not. Just like gravity, it's working. And I know that some people say, well, it's not working because I'm not getting what I want. It's working 100% of the time. But what we will be delving into in the upcoming year is how to work with it, be aware of it, work with it so that it can help you to go the direction that you want to go. Because so many times people say, oh, well, it's all that just think positive stuff. I got news for you. You can't be saying that you're thinking positive if you're in a bad mood. Mm-hmm. But it's that bad mood that you're projecting out there, and that's what's being responded back to you.
Yeah, and scrunchy faces, my friends, they're not attractive.
No, they aren't. Well, they are attractive on my 3-year-old grandson when he's trying to make faces at me on Skype. That's cute.
Yes. That's about the long and the short of it, for sure. So, but we've got an amazing year planned for you. We want to take a moment now to just, I want to say for sure, and I know Linda feels the same way, that we are so appreciative of all of the listeners that have tuned in every single week, have sent us feedback, and have let us know how much that this show or that show or this little sentence or that little tidbit helped them get over an obstacle that they found that they couldn't find a way around or over or under or anything. And then something that we said helped them do that. And for us, I mean, if there's just, we said this from day one, if one person gains value from one thing we do, then the whole time that we spend here is worth it. But it's also cathartic for both of us too, because we are people too. And you know what we have to do every Monday night, every weekend, during the week? We've got to think through what we're going to present here. We have to live this life, because if we couldn't, and we don't, we can't come on here and tell you to do it. Like, we both have amazing lives, but we stumble and we fall. And we're there for each other. And we have other people that we brought into our lives who are there for us when we can't do for ourselves, because we always and forever will always try to maintain the balance. And from me to you, that's what I want you to try to do. Try very hard to see, where is the balance? How do I get there? And do it. Just do it. So, Linda, that's kind of what I have for tonight.
Oh, that's awesome, Mark. And, I have the same sentiments. I'm so incredibly grateful for our friendship and what we're doing to help others bolster themselves up. I'm incredibly grateful for our listeners. And reflecting on this time of the year, I just want everyone to take a step back, no matter how they celebrate December. Just go into it with your heart wide open. And take those little extra steps to give somebody else a smile or a hug or just a word of encouragement, and just take a moment to see how that feels inside, and just share as much as you can, and understand that, yes, balance is important. Find that balance, and let's go into 2015 guns blazing, limitations all behind us, and let's see what kind of miracles we can make on the other side.
Yep, let's have that feeling. Nothing, no one can stop me.
Exactly.
I'm doing it, so I invite you all to do it too. So, again, we're a little bit over tonight, but I think it was really important, and it's our show, so we can do whatever we want. And that's how I feel about that. So, anyways, we want to wish every one of you a beautiful Christmas and an amazing New Year. So, for Mark, here in Canada, good night, everyone.
And good night from Linda down here in Florida. Merry Christmas.